So what I'd love to do first is to ask Jane, Malin, Katie to say a word of welcome to everybody. And then we'll look at some of the essential information that you might want to have about the meeting. We'll talk a little bit about, maybe you can go to the next slide, Megan. Yes, we'll talk a little bit about the purpose of the meeting, our objectives. We'll meet some other participants, and hopefully you'll have some information to help you prepare for how you can contribute to the meeting. So, Jane, if you're ready, would you like to say hello?
Yes, greetings, everybody. I'm having fun watching the chat, so maybe we should all just do that for a little bit. No. Um, as I said, my name is Jane Malin Katie, and I work at the McKnight Foundation based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I work as the program director for the Global Collaboration for Resilient Food Systems. And we are very excited to be collaborating with Pelham, Kenya, with Calro, and with Eldoret to host this meeting in Kisumu in Kenya to explore the work that many of us are doing in farmer-centered research focused on agroecology that's inclusive and holistic. And one of the things I'm most excited about is not only to see and reconnect with those I know who are doing this work, but to also expand our networks with others that are doing this kind of work in research, co-creation, and innovation, because it's very needed at this time on the planet. And so I think with that, I'm going to pass it back to Mary. And before I do that, I do want a big shout out to Mary, Ed, the planning teams that are working very hard to have this meeting be a really unique and important opportunity. So thanks all, and I very much look forward to meeting you either newly or re-meet you soon, very, very soon at the end of the month. So thank you, and over to Mary.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Jane. Let's go to the next slide, and we'll just get going with that. So yes, I'll be presenting a little bit about the convening in Kenya. We'll be going into some small breakout rooms to meet a few other people. That'll be a kind of an introduction and a quick chat with some other people. And then we'll be talking about the convening agenda. And I'll point out some sessions and some opportunities for sharing what you do, your interests, your initiatives, the work that you're engaged in. And we'll do another breakout room where you'll be able to discuss what you hope to share and learn during the convening. And I know you did that in a different form when you filled out the registration. And we'll be talking about some practical information about the convening. So I hope this will give you a good introduction so you kind of have an orientation to what we're doing, where we're going, and what's going to happen there. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I'll turn off my video too. We don't need that. I hope you had a little bit of time to at least introduce yourself and say a word about what you're hoping to get out of the convening. And I just want now to say a few words about what you can expect and how we're organizing this. So I'm just going to share my house space. Now, some of you may have gotten on this and some of you may not have, but hopefully this will give you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like and how it can be useful. So in just a sec here, you will see it. So this is what we're using. It's an online platform that we'll be using for the convening. We're starting now to already use it, and we will use it before, during, and after the convening for follow-up. When you click on you'll get it. You have had it already. You should have received an invitation by email to join HouseSpace. And so when you click on it, it brings you here. And as you can see, I'm on the welcome space. So this is the first page, and it tells you a little bit about what the purpose of the meeting is, bringing together, oh, be about 120 people from different organizations, different backgrounds, different experience, interested in participatory inclusive research for agroecology, as Jane mentioned at the beginning. And we really hope that it'll be an opportunity to build connections with other people and to think about what kind of collective action that we can take as a group and beyond with our networks as well. And so you can expect there'll be some panel discussions. There'll be a day of site visits. I'll show you the sort of an overview of the agenda in a minute. There'll be some thematic sessions. There'll be some open spaces for real-time collaboration on practical things. So we will have they're almost like work sessions. And there'll be some creative things as well. And as you know, and as Jane mentioned, there are 3 co-hosting organizations. Some of you may be members of these organizations. So there's the CRFS, CalRO, Pelham, Kenya, and the University of Eldoret. So that's just a quick overview of what this convening is. I think you all probably know all of that already. And if we go to background, there's a little word about sort of why this is something that's important and that we want to explore together. And then we have 4 objectives. So to build awareness and understanding of inclusive participatory research for agroecology, to bring together actors from different spaces in the movement, practice, and science realms of agroecology. And that's to foster collaborations that support food systems transformation. We want also to help create new insights around this kind of research and how that can change. And we want to explore the conditions and approaches that favor those agroecological transformations. So those are our 4 objectives. Now, if I click on location, I'm sure those who don't already know Kisumu are probably interested in where we're going. So this is where Kisumu is. And if you went on Google Maps or Google Earth and you zoom out, you'll see that it's due sort of directly west, maybe northwest a little bit from Nairobi in Kenya on Lake Victoria. And there's 2 hotels where we'll be staying. So you'll be either at the Acacia or the Sarova, and they're close by, so we can walk from one to the other quite easily. There's some information here that you've already received by email about transportation, about some key contact people here, and clothing and health considerations, etc. So you can read that. And oh, I have to show you something first. If you click up here on your name, you can go to translation. And this whole site can be translated into many, many different languages. So if you look at the whole, I'll just do French just for the sake of showing you. Now you can see everything is in French. Same thing you could do it for Spanish. You could do it for another language if you want to. I will go back to original because that's the language I want to see it in. But you could look in a different language if you want. And it's an automatic translation. So I just want to show you one other thing, actually 2 other things. I want to show you participants. So here, like on this meeting, you can see who is coming. So everyone who is confirmed, a confirmed participant at the convening has their little circle with their name. There's Jane, Mail, and Katie. There's Lauren Baker, who we just met in one of the groups. You probably met many of these people. And so unfortunately, it only shows 100 at a time. So you have to click to show more to see all of the people. And then if you can go in and change your profile. So here I am. If I wanted, I could go in and I could change my image. I could change my name. I could change my mobile, etc. And below, some of you have filled this out. There's a place where you can introduce yourself and a place where you can talk about your experience with participatory research and what you might want to learn from others. So that's a place where we can chat, and you can also contact the other people, I believe, since you'll have their contact information. And then I wanted to show you briefly with the agenda. This will be changing. We'll be adding more detail, but for now, an overview is that it's 3.5 days. On the first day, we'll have a knowledge exchange fair, which you should have received some information about. You may want to have a stand. You may want to have a table. You may want to show something that you've been working on, that you've published, or a poster, something like that. And we'll be getting, I'll just do this kind of quickly, but feedback from some farmers who attended a workshop at a place called Manor House in September. And we want to hear from them about what they learned. And we'll be hearing perspectives from East and Southern Africa, from West Africa, and from the Andes. These are the 3 CRFS communities of practice. And we'll be listening to what they want to tell us about their work and what they've been involved in. There'll be some small group conversations. And then the next day, it's a day focused on research through co-creation. And there'll be lots of small group conversations during this day, followed by a time of working together on something practical. Day 3, Wednesday, is a field visit day. And you'll have a chance to see what those field visits are and to make a first, second, third choice. Which one would you like to go to ideally? You might not get your first choice, but we'll take into account where people would like to go. And there'll be a panel at the end of the day once we get back. And then Thursday is a half day. It finishes at, as you can see at the bottom here, at about 1 o'clock. And this will be a day focused on creating enabling environments for agroecological knowledge co-creation. And so we'll be talking about things like policy engagement, like funding, many different things that affect the enabling environment for this kind of work, and thinking about how we can encourage transitions and transformations. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the agenda. Like I said, we will add more detail in the coming days. And there's also, you got this information in your email, but this is some key moments and how to prepare for them. So this is mainly about the knowledge exchange fair. And if you want to sign up, you have to go here and click on that, and it will take you to a sign up sheet. So this is telling us if you need a table, if you need a poster stand, if you need a screen or a projector, extension cord, anything you might need, please let us know, and we'll try to make sure that everybody has what they need. And the posters could, if you're bringing a poster, it could be in English, French, or Spanish. And we will make sure that people are able to understand who need translation. So we've got a way that will be sort of accompanying people so that they are able to interact during the fair. So hopefully most of you have been able to get on. If you haven't, please don't hesitate to click on that login that you got in your email, or check your email if it went into your spam, for example. Maybe it did. And this is going to be a way where there'll be more information shared, where we can connect with each other, and we'll be adding some more information as we go. Great, so I hope that's helpful. Now, the next thing that we wanted to do is to go into another breakout room, and Shifar and Megan are helping us to create those rooms. They'll be about 5 or 6 people in each room. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask Ed if he would like to say hello. Ed Reggae is going to be our lead facilitator. Ed, do you mind me putting you on the spot like this? I'm completely putting Ed on the spot.
So I completely mind. Thank you very much. No, that's okay. That's okay, Mary. So first of all, I'm so glad that we are doing this, and I'm so happy about the attendance. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in Kisumu. The first thing I wanted to say is, it sounds like end of October is far, but it's actually only 3 weeks from now. And Mary has done a great job in walking us through what the meeting looks like and what the expectations are. I think one thing that I would really urge people to do is to think about the plan for that that fair. I mean, it requires thinking. It requires you thinking now so that we know what you will need. It will really be difficult if you arrive on the site and then now suddenly everybody's running up and down trying to see how they can solve your problem, which we could have done earlier if you had actually registered earlier and explained, I mean, let us know what you will need so that those things could be provided. So that's the one thing that really comes to my mind now. And the other is we are really looking forward to participation, not just attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And while Ed was talking, I just took a moment to scroll through all of the people who are here on this call, and it's really exciting, I find, to see all of you who we're going to be meeting, and the range of people with different types of roles, different engagement in research and in knowledge co-creation, in working with farmers. It's just, and we've got people from the Andes in South America. We've got a lot of people from East and Southern Africa, and we have some people from West Africa as well. And we have people who work in international organizations. We have people who work in local organizations, in NGOs. It's just a really, really diverse group of people, and makes it, I think, very exciting for us to be able to have this very precious time together, really, to be able to share and to work on things that we care about.
Yeah, exactly. And Mary, we are like 50% of attendees are here, which is really great too. You know, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And let me just check about the breakout rooms. Are we ready to go to breakout rooms next?
We are ready, Mary.
Great. So do you want to activate those? And so what we're going to do now, and I'll put the questions in the chat. We're going to have about 15 minutes, and we're going to talk again about what would you like to share during this convening. So kind of what is your gift? What do you want to bring to this convening that you can share with others? And then what would you like to learn from people with different experiences or different perspectives? And then finally, a third question: is there something practical that you would like to work on during this convening? And I see Batamaka has his hand raised. Batamaka, would you like to say something? And maybe introduce yourself quickly.
I am Batamaka, regional representative for CRFS West Africa. Somebody wrote a request, wondering if we would share some of the good ideas that were shared in the previous breakout groups, but I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't. Sorry. I haven't been able to look at the chat very much.
Yep. So Mary, do we have time for that at some point when we come back from the break?
Sorry, can you just repeat what the request is?
The request is, could we ask people to share one or two things, maybe one that really struck them as they discussed in round one in the small. Yeah.
Yes.
Or maybe
good.
they can just
Thank
put
you.
it on the chat. They can put it on the chat if we don't have enough time.
Yes, I think that's a really good idea. Batamaka, were you suggesting we do that now?
Actually, I'm not the author. It's Lisa Fuchs who asked.
You are the co-author.
Okay.
Can I suggest we do it after and then have sort of a reflection on both groups?
Okay.
I think that's a good idea
Okay.
because then we'll see how much time we have.
Okay. All right.
So just so that we don't eat into our time too much, but please, everybody keep that in your mind. What are you noticing? What are you listening to? What is maybe striking to you? What did you hear that's going to stay with you? Something like that. So the first question is, well, introduce yourself. We already did that. And what would you like to share during this convening? Sort of what do you want to bring to it, or what's your gift, let's say? Hello, welcome back to everybody who's coming back now.
Yeah,
Nice to see you. I hope you had a good conversation. I hope that you met some interesting people. It will give you somebody that you might recognize when you arrive, and if you don't know that many people. So it gives you a face that you can look at and say, hey, that's the person I met on the Zoom call. So nice to see you all back. Now, I was showing you before the house space that we're using. I think what we should do now, we do have time. Sorry, I just skipped to a different topic in my mind. I'm seeing that we have time to share a little bit. So I would love if people could put up their hand and just share something that they heard in these two breakout sessions. If there's something that struck them, something of interest that they want to share. Anybody want to open your mic and tell us something? Please don't be shy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the group I was in, we discussed. People said they want to bring experiences, stories, learnings, insights from their work, from their projects, from their programs, from their activities, from whatever they're doing in their countries, in their organizations. And there was this one critical thing we discussed that people are very eager to take away, to learn. That is, which models can we break down, discuss, and understand that can enable a farmer to become a researcher, working with a local organization, working with the scientists, the universities, and there was this brilliant idea of working with farmer cooperatives, working with farmer groups, setting up committees that will sit down and agree on an agenda and then follow through that agenda as a group, not working with individuals.
Thank you, Charles. Ralph.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we had interesting discussions about participatory research. That was kind of like the common interest of all of us in the group. And Caroline mentioned that she is interested in power dynamics among between researchers and farmers. And I think that's extremely interesting. And I shared my experience and my interest in participatory research that we've been doing at CIAT a long time ago, where we had 5 different typologies of participatory research based on ownership, like whether it's more scientist-driven or more farmer-driven or somewhere along that spectrum. And so it will be interesting to see what everyone else's experiences are on that dynamics, and also how the results of participatory research can create evidence in agroecology that everyone's always talking about. We need more evidence that agroecology is working so that we can push the agenda of transformation.
Yes. That's a big interest, I'm sure, of everyone's. Anyone else like to share something that they heard?
can I come in now?
Yes, go ahead, Charles.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you, colleagues. It's been said that we are looking forward to sharing experiences, and one of the things that struck me was we're going to be discussing co-creation of knowledge, and something came out of our group that some voices may not be in the rooms where we'll be discussing this, but you should have an opportunity to be able to hear from those who work in those spaces the rich experiences of farmers in these hard to reach environments. And so there's somebody who's willing to share this, and hopefully knowing what the agenda is like, this will really come out. Because these fellows have very rich experiences of their own that can actually help inform what to discuss. So bringing in voices that might not get access to these rooms, but still be able to be integrated in our discussions. And then the second part that was also very interesting was how do we develop, or how do we learn tools that most likely would be new, tools that can help us advance agroecology more politically and socially. In other words, being able to raise consciousness to advance agroecology based on the data and experiences coming in. So I found that quite striking. I mean, looking at agroecology more politically and socially than we've done before, because then from that we can raise more consciousness, can drive its uptake and applications. I thought those would be important to share with the plenary. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charles. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. No, in our group, what I heard that I thought was very interesting was particular, in addition to just generally experience and knowledge from processes, some actually particular tools or methodologies that people were bringing, I think from Kenya and Tanzania, for example, on how this work can be done, how to involve farmers, and how to co-create knowledge is kind of what I was hearing from our participants. So it's actually sort of specific experiences and methodologies that people want to share. And then more generally, people were interested in learning, in listening, very curious to hear, from everyone else. And I think in particular, there was a comment about kind of broadening approaches that have maybe been in other areas and starting to integrate more agroecology into them. That was another contribution that I heard in our group, which was great to hear. And I was just made aware of what a great broad group this is that is coming to the convening. So that was wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Let's take two more. I see two more hands. We'll take those and then we'll go back to the last little bit of the meeting. Batamaka.
Thank you, Mary. Many things that I said here have been said in our group. And two things that I said that I want to share here is that about what we're expecting to learn. You go to learn, it's hard always to preempt on what you learn because, whatever comes and that is learnable, we'll learn. That's one point. The second point is that a participant said that they have been collecting so much data that they don't know what to do with the data. So they hope that opportunity will allow them to hear from the specialists of research method support and also lesser specialized ones to see what to do with the research with probably more intentionality about the data collection process. Thanks.
Thanks, Batamaka. That's a great segue to what I'm going to show in a minute. But I'm going to let Ed say something, and then we'll go to something that actually has to do with research methods.
So I'm actually inviting somebody who was in our group, Lisa, to talk about transdisciplinarity and standards, because it was really interesting to hear what she was saying. Lisa, can you say that? I think you'll say it faster and better than I possibly can.
Let me try. So the fast is definitely one of the things I do. I was speaking about, those are two different things, but I was speaking specifically about something that we're working on at the moment and that I'm quite pleased by. So I spoke about how within the broader team, and many people in the room also have been part of this, we've been working on metrics of agroecology. And now we're specifically looking at this question of agroecological standards in the context of markets and trying to see whether there's any interest and or sense.
Oops, Lisa, we just lost your audio.
It's the audio, but she's still here. Okay.
Yeah, we see you.
We can't hear you.
We just missed the last sentence, probably.
Yeah.
Hold that thought for the convening, I guess. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen again quickly, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something again in HowSpace, and then I'm going to ask Carlos to share a resource. So if you can see here in the HowSpace platform that I showed you earlier, there's a page called Resources. And when you click on this, there's a few, there's not very many yet. So one point is, if you have a resource that you would like to share, please send it to me or somebody else that you know in CRFS, but the easiest would be to send it to me. And we can add it to this resources page. So that's one way already of seeing what some other people have been working on and having some basic information. And if you scroll down, I'm going to scroll down here. For example, this African Perspectives on Agroecology I added because Witness shared it with me. So that's something you could do. You could share something, maybe a publication or a poster or something. Now, if you go down here, it says Farm Research Network, Research Methods Hub. And this is something that our friends at Stats for Sustainable Development have been working on, and they haven't, I don't think, made it quite public yet, but now I believe it's launched. Carlos, I'm going to hand it over to you and tell me if you would like. I think I'll close my share and you can share if you want.
Stay there. Don't
go away. Okay.
If you could just click on the English, yeah, exactly, yeah. And then I don't need to share.
Yeah, perfect.
And hello everyone. I am going to try to copy Lisa, who left us just wondering what she's going to say and share in the meeting, and wanted to talk to her. So I don't think I will be as good at doing that, but over the years, the Research Method Support Project, and I work with that project within CRFS. Over 15 years, we've been working with many of the grantees, and many of you are here, and the research, the regional teams and the leadership team of the program. And we have been collecting and curating materials that have been produced from the CRFS CCRP experience. And to make a contribution to this meeting, we have created a special collection of those materials and resources that we call the Farmer Research Network Research Methods Hub. And you will be able to find it through the HowSpace site, but also if you go directly to statsforsd.org/FRN. And what we have here is we have 5 different collections. If you just scroll down a little bit for me, Mary, one collection that has to do with what are FRNs, one with tools for FRNs, one for research in FRNs, one for FRN principles, and one for case studies. Most of them are not produced by us, but gathered by us from the work of our colleagues. So you can click on any of those and explore what has been produced. And you can also search, if you go a little bit further down, by keyword, by typing what do you have on, and if you type principles on the search bar that is a little bit lower than that, then you will be able to find more resources about that. We have a collection that is in English, quite a number of resources, some in French and some in Spanish. And this hub, this platform online, can be read in English, in French, or in Spanish, and you select your topic. So we're excited about sharing this with you, and we are really interested in collecting more resources as we gather in Kisumu. And thank you for the opportunity to share it. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Carlos. Does anybody have a question for Carlos? Maybe I'll stop the share. And just mention again that you can access that under the resources page in HowSpace, or you could go directly to Stats for SD and you'll find it there, statsforsd.org. So they're couple different ways that you'll find it. And I believe, no, I don't think it is on the CRFS website, but this is the best way to get it. Anybody have any questions about this for Carlos? And does anybody have any questions in general for the convening, about the convening? This would be, we have just a few more minutes, and you could either put your questions in the chat, or you can put up your hand and ask out loud, and we'll answer as best we can. In the chat also, we'll try and answer them as best we can. And we can also share some responses on HowSpace later if we need to. So are you left with any questions about your involvement, about what's going to happen, about what you should prepare, if anything, how, anything at all?
Mary, for your information, Lisa just wrote something about what you were saying.
Oh, Lisa, do you want to try your mic again and see if it works?
She wrote anything. She wrote
I
something
can
anyway.
try. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we hear you. Yes, please.
I also don't
finish
mean
your
to take too
thought.
much space. I also don't mean to take too much space. I was just like speaking about this, like the work on the agroecology metrics, and how like my particular interest at the moment, together with a few other colleagues, is really on looking at whether it is sensible to develop agroecology standards, especially in the context for participatory guarantee systems, which are important vehicle, I think, for like territorial market development. So that's one part. And then my point on the transdisciplinary approaches was separate. But we just spoke about the importance of like various things in terms of being holistic and like multidimensional, multi-voice, multi-scale, etc. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Everything that you have just mentioned, I am sure that there are many people who are going to share that interest with you, and may have their own experiences in other contexts that they could, that you'll be able to have a conversation about, which I think is, that'll be really interesting. I think the transdisciplinary approaches is also a really big part of trying to do this work of participatory research on complex questions. And so, yes, I thank you for that. And I'm sure this will be sparking ideas in people's minds. So I think we've come to the end of our time, really. I think we've covered what we wanted to cover. Again, if there are questions you have or any thoughts, we would love to hear them and try and answer them. And I would also say maybe now we could just chat into the chat box. How do you feel now about the convening? What are you going away from this with this meeting with? What are you taking away from this meeting? And my suggestion is that we end the meeting here, but that we continue to engage in the chat for a couple of minutes. And I think that will be wonderful. And I want to say thank you to everybody. Jane, did you want to say a final word before we close off?
I was actually just going to wave and watch the chat, because I'm really curious to what others are thinking. I think there is a lot of excitement, and we hope everybody finds it a very fruitful meeting, that they travel well, and we look forward to being together. And I see Steve has a hand up.
Steve, yes.
No, just quickly, we had that question, Mary, about whether people have been able to access the house space. If anyone hasn't been able to, maybe look in your email right now I used the word convening, and I found the email and I clicked on the link and it all worked. But if you try that and it doesn't, then maybe that there's a chance to troubleshoot that.
Yes.
Which again, I know people are doing their nice reactions that are probably much more meaningful at this moment, but if anyone has any questions about that, we can handle that.
Yeah, please send us a message. You can send it to me if you want, if you're having any trouble accessing HowSpace, and we will help you with that. If you can't find your email, we can send you another login. So just let us know. And I know that when things are sent by MailChimp or by HowSpace, they may end up in your spam folder in your emails. That's possible. So please just let us know if you have any trouble with that. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll try and answer them as best we can or find the right person who can. And I just want to wish everybody safe travels in 3 weeks when you head off to join us in Kisumu. And I hope that you all have a good drive, flight, whatever vehicle you're taking to get there. And I'm really, really looking forward to meeting you all.